Welcome, Star Wars fans, to episode 138 of Tatooine Sons. Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian was not a filler episode. In fact, there's too much that happened for us to limit it to 3 hot takes, so we're altering the deal this week. After that, we'll look at the incomparable AP5 and why his age and experience.
Do you have a hard time with that word?
Yes.
It's incomparable.
It's incomparable.
It's incomparable.
You two are incomparable.
And can I?
Yeah. Read that again because it was pretty good.
I can finish it?
Yeah, you can finish it now.
Okay. And
after
why
that,
his
just go back.
age
Go back to after that. We'll have fun. Come on, go.
After that, we'll look at the incomparable AP5 and why his age and experience helped save the rebellion.
Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
It's time for Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to this.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sons, your weekly look into all things Star Wars from the unique perspective of a father sharing his love for the amazing space fantasy saga with his two
Okay, I gotta
sons.
stop there. I get blown away every week when we
I'm not
record.
done.
I know, but I can't help it. I get blown away when I hear Ryan Johnson say what he says.
Yeah.
It takes me back to January 31st, 2018, IMAX headquarters, and my mind just melts. And then to think that I can look behind you on this wall, BB Nate, every single week and see
The comic.
Star Wars Adventures 27, 28, and 29 with named Turbis in it. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, all right. So
And first, here's my brother.
go for it.
You ready?
Just I'll wing
Samuel
it.
the Hutt.
And shoot to Star Wars fans. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to alter it a little bit this week.
Okay, go for it.
If you just now are starting to like Boba Fett, then you're not a true Star Wars fan.
Oh, nice. He got a little salty there.
Just saying.
And of course, you can't have Star Wars without bizarre father figures. So on that note, here's my dad, the bow-tie Jedi.
Spent a good hour resetting our podcast studio because we took everything down to take it to Orange Beach last week. We're back in Colorado. I didn't change a whole lot, but I had to put everything back, and I wanted to make sure that things are in the right spot. So yeah, it's good to be back in our own beds.
Yeah,
that's everything. Sam, how you doing being back in Orlando and not being in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach and all that? So
I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
How's your friend doing?
Oh, my friend.
Yeah. You want to announce this to the world?
Well, I mean, if you're friends with me on Facebook, which actually I've noticed a lot of our listeners are. Like, I'm a lot of.
That's most of your friends.
I know
on
most
Facebook,
of my friends on Facebook are different Facebook people or are different Star Wars people.
Yeah, I'm not friends with very many people on Facebook.
Yeah,
but I got me a girlfriend.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We've teased about it a little bit on the show.
So
She's
sweet.
Her name is Savannah, and she is an awesome young lady, and we are very proud to have her as part of the Tatooine Sons family. We should have her on the show someday.
Yeah,
if she wants to be. She's a huge Star Wars fan, like massive. Her favorite character is Ahsoka.
Yeah,
so
she's smart.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
But she also got to watch the Ahsoka episode with Sam last week when the day it premiered and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
That was really neat.
Yeah. So how you guys doing?
Fine.
Good.
We're going to jump right into the real show. Next, we're going to be tweaking some things in the new year. Hopefully having a lot more guests on the main show. Looks like we're going to have Mr. Dan Z from Coffee with Kenobi to open it up, and I'm setting some other things. That'll be in January. This month, we're going to just keep moving the hot takes to the front with that. And then if you've been checking us out on Twitter and on Facebook, lots of stuff's been happening with TeePublic. Thank you guys for all of you who have been buying Ahsoka and Porg merch and Where's Ezra Bridger shirts and such. You guys are awesome. So, all right, let's let's just do this thing. Get right into it. It's just been too hard. We cannot distill everything that happened in Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian into only 3 hot takes. So this week we're expanding it to 10 questions that we are going to answer as quickly as possible. Rapid succession. We're going to call this Hot Takes Hyperdrive. I should have made this super fast, but I didn't.
This is where the fun begins.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
All right, Boba Fett is back.
Heck yeah, I told y'all.
For real this time, not just a tease at the end of the first episode of the season. And his return saw more screen time and dialogue than he had in the entire original trilogy films combined.
I don't think we actually have the stats on that, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Sure of that. Has the green bounty hunter who was unceremoniously dumped into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi finally earned the overwhelming fan obsession he's received for 40 plus years.
You're saying he had to earn it?
I think so.
No?
I think a lot of people have questioned whether or not he deserved that. Sam, has he... Now, should the doubters no longer doubt?
Yes.
I know that you've had an attitude problem with people that doubted before, but should the doubters no longer doubt?
Yeah, I think so. I think he proved himself. I mean, he kicked butt. Let's just be honest. I mean, it finally showed what all the fans thought of Boba Fett. It actually showed it.
So
and,
it confirmed everything that you believed about the character when you
Correct.
saw just this guy in a cool suit of armor.
All right. Yeah, he got the recognition he deserved at this point.
BB Nate, did he? Is it deserved now? All of this.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Boba Fett. That doesn't mean I don't like him. I'm just not.
He's just not your obsession.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, he's not even up there with my favorite characters, and he never will be.
Well,
That's just not my character. It's not my kind. I mean, he was great in this episode, and I think that people that love Boba Fett, like Sam, think that it showed off what they all wanted Boba Fett to be. So, in some ways, yes. I mean, just to the people that don't really care about him, he's just another character that came back for fan service, and that's what we all think. So.
What was your favorite part of, or like your favorite moment with Boba Fett, Sam?
Oh, geez.
As a Boba Fett super fan, what was your favorite moment?
Oh, this the thing when he got the gaffy stick and was just using gaffy stick to beat the crap out of stormtroopers. And he's not even a force user like Chirrut. Like, he was just doing that just because.
He's just kicking some tail. Boba Fett is played by Tamura Morrison, who played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones, and was also the template for the clones in the prequel era.
Really?
Because, the clone thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. The first half of his appearance in Chapter 14 was without the armor. And like I think we have all
said
concluded,
a couple times.
he said he's kicked butt. What was it like seeing Boba Fett battle without his Mandalorian armor? We'll start with you, BB Nate.
We didn't see him battle very much with
That's fair.
before, but he definitely knows what he's doing on the fact that he can just kick, and he doesn't need his armor. And I think the armor is more of just who he feels like he is, more than protection, like what Cobb Vanth was using it for. So it was just really cool seeing him fight without it and even with it, and it was really cool.
Sam?
I was happy to see that he can hold his own without it. Like, he really held his own without it. He held his own without a blaster for a while. Like I said, it's the gaffy stick and stuff. But I think part of it is he had to adapt after the Sarlacc pit. He obviously lost his armor, so he had to figure out how to survive without it, and I think that made him stronger than what he was in the original trilogy. In case in point, some dude getting knocked into a Sarlacc pit by a blind dude with a boat paddle. He's actually, like, now that he had that taken away from him, he had to improve. So it was really neat to see him be able to stand up like that.
Did you guys know that that like Tamura Morrison learned how to battle with a similar weapon in his culture growing up?
Really?
And that's what they integrated that in there because of his like literal skill.
What?
I can't. It's some
No, what's his like national?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. I can't
Okay.
remember if it's Samoan or something like that. But his culture, they trained him. They taught him like ceremonially and things like that.
I've
how
seen
to
like
use that.
war clubs that look very similar to like gaffy sticks.
Yeah, and so
it's
he got to
interesting.
actually play that out.
That's really cool.
In that is pretty cool. It probably shouldn't be a surprise, but it was confirmed that the caped figure who approached that lifeless body of a Fennec Shand in Chapter 5, the Gunslinger, was obviously Boba Fett, who not only rescued Shand but restored her to health using robotics. Shand, hold on, there's a quote here somewhere for that. Hold on. All right, I lost it. Anyway, okay. Droid, please. All right, so no,
Thanks,
that's it. Yeah, that's good. Shand is one of the most dangerous assassins in the galaxy at this time. Can Mando and Boba trust her, Sam?
I think they can. She, like all the bounty hunters, as we've seen with, well, not all the bounty hunters, but the ones who like are worth their salt or whatever, like Mando and Boba Fett before. They have a creed and they follow that creed as best they can, even though I guess the whole plot of Mandalorian is Mando going against that creed in the beginning. But, I think that her life was saved. She owes that to Boba Fett at this point. So I think she's going to stick with him. I don't think she has a reason to cross him. It's not like there's a bounty out on his head or whatever. I mean, she could have tried to steal Baby Yoda, but that's not what her intentions were. She was there because she had owed loyalty to Boba Fett. So I think they can trust her at this point.
What do you think, Nate?
Boba can definitely trust her because, she owes him
a life debt.
Her life, yeah.
Yeah.
And so if Boba can trust her and Boba is in the service of Mando, I think that Mando can trust both of them because Boba is very strict on, I'm going to help you.
Well, don't spill it. Yeah, excuse me, I'm yawning. I'm tired.
Don't spill it. Yeah,
is this conversation really that boring?
No, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Although the robotics was pretty cool. I didn't realize that they had
So she's like the opposite of Krang in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Krang is a robot with living organism in the tummy.
Yeah.
And Fennec Shand is a living organism with robot in the tummy.
Yeah.
So, all right. And this is why you listen to this show right there. Okay. While Boba Fett is clearly alive and well, we don't know how he survived the Sarlacc pit. We do know that he's been hanging out on Tatooine, but that presents another question. He flew the Slave One all the way to Tython to get his armor back when he could have just taken it from Cobb Vanth in the first place. Why did he not do that, BB Nate? What do you think?
I think that he respected Cobb Vanth and his mission of being the marshal. I think that he respected that was his job, and he felt like he needed the armor to protect them. That's probably because he would have if he could.
Okay.
And then he saw, this guy's a Mandalorian. He has my armor. We can reason. We're both under the same creed. So I could just try to reason with this guy because he has my armor and I want it, and he did, and they made a deal.
Good point. What do you think about that?
I think if Boba wanted his armor, he would have worked a way out to get it. If he knew Cobb Vanth had his armor, like he would have gone to Cobb, be like, "Hey, give me back my armor. I'm a Mandalorian. I deserve it." And then probably Cobb would have been like, "Well, can you help me with my problem?" And it would have been like episode 1.
It would have been Boba Fett trying to take out the.
So I think genuinely, I just don't think he knew Cobb Vanth had.
Well,
the armor.
if a bartender at Mos Eisley knew that there was a Mandalorian on the planet, then he would have.
That's a good point.
I think BB Nate's onto something with the idea of, we know from, primarily from the series, from episode or chapter 9 of this series, when we saw Cobb Vanth in the armor, that Cobb Vanth purchased it outright. He earned this armor
from the Jawas, yeah.
Right. And we, it'll come back again. We'll talk about it more. We've already talked about it a little bit. There seems to be this honor that Boba Fett is practicing, and he lost that armor in failure, in defeat by the Sarlacc. But we don't know the details, but that's almost assured, right? Cobb Vanth earned that armor, purchased that armor himself, right? And yes, Mando did as well.
Mando earned it.
But he's also a Mandalorian.
And he was trying to return it back to the Mandalorians anyway,
And Boba also earned it back as well. So.
Yeah. And so Boba offered a deal to earn it back with that. And so I think you're onto something there, BB Nate.
I know I'm onto something.
You are. You're so smart. It didn't take long for Grogu, Baby Yoda, to take on the classic Jedi meditation pose and reach out through the Force when Mando placed him on that seeing stone on Tython. He was locked in for a really long time doing that. do you think he finished because he was exhausted or because he made a connection? And if he had a connection with some Jedi, is anybody coming to find Grogu before the end of the season, Sam?
Yeah, I get the impression that he made a connection. It seemed like he completed the task that he was there for. I don't think he would just give up because he was tired. I think there was a lot going on in there that we just don't know, but I don't think it was, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to stop at this point. So I do think he made a connection, and I feel like that's going to bring someone in, like, last episode, like last minute, some Jedi is going to come to save the day. What
Who do
Jedi?
you think it's going to be?
I don't know.
You going to guess?
You
have an educate like a gut feeling?
I got nothing. I honestly, I don't think they're going to bring in a fan favorite Jedi or one we know. I think it's just going to be some
Jedi?
leftover Jedi at this point.
But even Ahsoka herself said there's not many left.
That doesn't
If you
mean
can
there can't
find
be
one.
one.
I know, but we've heard so many stories of post Purge, and let alone post Return of the Jedi, stories of Jedi
That's true.
that are still alive. I'm sure that I can't think of one that we don't know of.
Well, what do you think? I mean, do you think he made a connection, BB Nate? And if so, are we going to see somebody?
I do, because I feel like Grogu felt like that was the mission he was on, and he didn't. I guess he didn't want to disappoint Mando.
Yeah, why do you think he reached out in the Force? He seemed to be resisting this in the previous episode, and now he's just all about it. He gets on that scene.
I feel like he felt like Mando was disappointed that he didn't go with Ahsoka because that was what he
my
felt
heart breaks just thinking
his
about
mission
this.
is, and so Baby Yoda wanted to, honor his daddy and
I
do
saw
what
this
he wants.
meme, and it was Baby Yoda or Grogu talking to Ahsoka, and it was like, 90% of this conversation was Grogu talking about how awesome his dad is.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yes, I do think that he reached out and made a connection with who. I don't know, but I do think we see him final episode, final minutes, just show the Jedi and then leave the season like that and head out.
I think so.
All right, so he was absconded by. We knew they were coming. We saw him in a couple episodes ago. Everybody's been waiting for the moment. What did you think about the introduction of or our first real exposure to the Dark Troopers?
I hated it because it meant that Grogu got captured, but they were really cool. I want to see more of them. I want to see them, actually in action, not just.
They definitely had some Iron Man vibes.
Oh,
in
100%.
It's like
the first
Favreau was like, "All right, I know this technology."
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of was
Hammer.
the robot at the end of Real Steel, the big bad one.
saw that.
It looked
in the face,
exactly
yeah.
like it. Exactly.
In the face.
So I immediately thought of that. But I mean, I just kind of wanted to see more combat from them, not just
we really just saw him fly around a
the
little bit.
kidnappers. So
Yeah, what'd you think, Sam?
No, I mean, I thought it was a little underwhelming. I was kind of hoping for something. But I know they're not going to just that's their entire purpose in this series. They're not going to just have them show up, take Baby Yoda, and not do anything else. I think we're going to see more from them. I think they're an interesting concept. The fact that they're still using droids in that respect is interesting. I don't know what they do. So I don't know what makes them special. I mean, sure, they look cool, but is that it?
Well, if you played the game, they were
I
the
did.
hardest to overcome. They were
Okay.
the worst.
Okay.
They
Did you
were
play the game?
I remember vaguely playing this game and being terrified of these things when they would show up. So, yeah.
You think they're made of Beskar?
no,
I don't know.
no
Jedi Purge Beskar?
I don't know.
Or excuse me, the Mando.
Yeah, I don't. I just too shiny.
You can paint Beskar
I know you
and
can
make
paint.
it
Look
as
at
shiny
Boba
as you
Fett.
want.
I know, but all the Mandalorian's armors that have been painted over the Beskar are not shiny.
They just used a matte paint.
Yeah, it's possible. All right.
But
Moff Gideon.
only the
Let's talk about Moff
Emperor.
Gideon. All right.
Okay.
He not only seemed pleased to have reacquired the asset that he lost in Chapter 3, he revealed in Grogu's
Reveled.
use. Huh?
Reveled.
He reveled? Yeah,
He
that's-
reveled in.
See, you've got incomparable and incomparable. You got to help us
Yeah,
with that.
I've also
and then
got
you got revealed.
old eyes. Moff Gideon not only seemed pleased to have reacquired the asset he lost in Chapter 3, he reveled. Thank you. In Grogu's use of some very dark side abilities to defend himself against the stormtroopers in his prison cell. He used force choking
So did Luke.
Oh, come on. And Luke was dressed all in black, and there was a reason behind that. We know Gideon wants Grogu for his high M count, but is there more going on here than just blood harvesting, Sam?
I don't think so. I don't think Moff Gideon would be able to really tell the difference between light and dark side, or what exactly a dark side ability is, or whatever. I think he was just pleased to see that this asset is strong and has abilities. I don't think he knows that force choking is generally a dark side trait. I just think he saw the sheer strength of this donor or whatever and was like, okay, good. I can see why this guy's so valuable and why we need him. So I think that's what was happening there.
I don't think that there's anything, again, like he's not acquiring it to raise it or get it to the Emperor. I think it's just for blood harvesting because that's his mission. I feel like that's the only thing that he has going for him. I don't think Baby Yoda, yes, he force choked them. I don't think that it was because he was tapping into the dark side. I think it was for defense because you saw he showed mercy. He could have just kept force choking them, but he just banged them together and then threw them against the wall.
I'm pretty sure they're dead, Nathan.
No, they moved afterwards.
moving.
Oh, they
Now we're
moved?
moving.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he showed mercy against them. So, I mean, and again, Luke used force choking.
When Luke
I know
used
it was
force
for
choking,
intimidation, but
when Luke used that, it was intentional misdirection to make everybody think he's dressed
Okay,
in all
and that
black.
just- and that
he's
just-
using force choking. He's a bad guy.
okay. So, and that
Are
just,
they doing the same thing? Are they trying to help us see dark side of it?
I think they're just trying to help us see that this kid's been trying to survive for over 50
But
years.
with Luke, the reason George Lucas did that was because he wanted us to believe that he could fall to the dark side when he was tempted by Darth Vader and the Emperor. That's the whole reason he did that. So now I feel like there's a reason why Filoni and Favreau have him force choke Cara in the first season, force choking now, stealing. He's got a survival mechanism. He's spent the last whatever 30 years.
It's like Ezra almost.
Trying to survive, and he doesn't care if it's a light side force ability or a dark side force ability. I'm not
he's
saying
just
he's
surviving.
intentionally trying to
No.
succumb to the dark side. I'm saying that this was a dark side moment for him, and
but then he saw the
hold
wrong
on.
of his ways.
I get it. I know you've got it.
It's true.
You got to let your opinion stand on its own and let somebody else make another argument, Nate. All right. Because here's the reality: before this season even premiered, Giancarlo Esposito plays Moff Gideon. Gave a few interviews.
Yeah.
And in those interviews, it was highly suggested that he may have the Force, that he may be a Force user. Now he's got the dark. We know he's had the Darksaber. He's got this. He seemed like he looked at Grogu and saw something more than just a means to an end. He smiled. He grinned. He teased him with the Darksaber, and he even said, "You haven't used one of these yet, have you?"
Or something to that effect.
He probably worked closely at some point with Darth Vader. I mean, he is a Moff, and
I'm talking about.
I know.
I'm gonna go on record right now that I think that Moff Gideon has some latent Force abilities. They've got him dressed like Darth Vader. He's mimicking himself after Vader. I think he loves this idea, and he wants to become a dark side user, and he wants to have the apprentice, maybe even reinstituting the rule of two for himself, and he wants Grogu as his apprentice, which plays into the relationship that Grogu has with Mando. Who brings Grogu back? If Grogu in this, who can be the one to rescue him from falling to this dark side, which we know he has the ability to use because he's used it. Only Mando can do that. All right.
And they would be so stupid if they made Baby Yoda fall to the dark side.
I'm not
I think
saying
if they
I'm not
did,
saying
it would
he's
be
like going to start
temporary.
like I don't think he's going to put on like all of a sudden they're going to call him Darth Baby Yoda or anything like
Darth
that.
Grogu.
You know,
He goes through that little goth phase.
yeah,
in
I
his
don't think
teen
he's going
years.
to do that. I think that we could see sort of this. I
mean,
this idea of people that are kidnapped beginning to become so dependent emotionally, mentally for all their and physically for all of their needs that they begin to attach with the person that's kidnapped them. Stockholm syndrome. That's what I was trying to think of, but I couldn't think. What if we see Grogu with Stockholm syndrome for Moff Gideon and Moff Gideon using that to manipulate? I'm telling you, it could be scary. All right, we got to move on.
Okay, well, I got to just say this one thing.
All right.
We saw this was a big talking point from season 2 all the way through season 3 for Rebels. we were wondering, is Ezra going to fall to the dark side?
I agree.
Vader,
Which means that
big,
Filoni can go down this path.
He could, but I mean, I was all aboard that Ezra's falling to the dark side. It was apparent, but I don't think that they would do that to Grogu because the backlash.
Man.
He might go temporarily, but they're not going to end. He's not going to end up staying on the dark side.
No, it's going to be a moment.
Right.
It's not going to be a storyline for 2 seasons. It would be a moment where this is going on.
Okay, another question. Sorry, we're dragging this on too long.
No, that's good. We're good. We got time.
When Baby Yoda was reaching up to the Darksaber, do you think he was trying to use it to like grab it or trying to block it
I don't know.
any way because he didn't know it was
I've only had a chance to watch this one time.
He was reaching out for it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. All right, we never really thought of Boba Fett as someone that had a creed, but as we talked about before, it's clear that there's something going on there when he rescued his commitment to help Mando rescue Grogu seems to indicate that. He still describes himself in a classic Jango Fett quote, a simple man trying to make my way in the universe, which felt awesome hearing Tamura Morrison say that. But the revelations about Jango Fett being a foundling indicates that Boba's father may have taught him the way of the Mandalorian. Do you like the new info revealed about Jango Fett, Nathan?
I like how it puts the whole argument of is Boba and Jango, are they Mandalorians or not? And it puts that whole argument to rest. They are Mandalorian, whether you like it or not.
By creed, not by...
No.
The reason that they have the armor is because they earned the armor.
Yes.
Right.
So I like it. I think it works very well. It definitely works with how he kind of is not really what Mandalorians are in like not Children of the Watch, but
Yeah, I don't think he's a part of the Watch, Children of the Watch at all.
no, I just he. I mean, we see most of the Children of the Watch, and I guess people that are foundlings, they turn into bounty hunters because that seems like the profession for Mandalorians in these times. So
they're
I like
hunters.
it. Yeah, I like it. I think it works well.
No, I think I agree. It was good that they finally answered that question because it'd been a hot topic for a while.
Forever.
Right.
Since the Clone Wars, when they indicated that wasn't the case, is what it seemed like.
I like that he does have some honor. I mean, sure, it's kind of weird because in the original trilogy, he was a bad guy. Straight up. He's the guy who captured Han Solo and all that. But then we see him in this, technically being the good guy, but all he does is he either is following the money because he has a commitment to that, or following whoever he gives his allegiance to at the time. That kind of, sort of shows honor in a way, a little twisted, but
honor in the same way that I think that we accept Mando's honor in this series.
Yeah,
it's very similar. Mando's in it for himself, but when he makes a commitment, he's going to make it. That's what made Chapter 3, the sin, such a dilemma, because he could commit one of 2 sins in this. He could allow this child to be whatever,
right?
By the Empire or former Empire, or he could sin against the code of the Bounty Hunter Guild and his own code and rescue the child.
Right.
Either one is a sin. Which is he going to choose? And so it's the same type of an honor that you see in Boba Fett. Is what it sounds
exactly.
like.
And I like that. It kind of redeemed his character a bit.
Awesome. Well, one of the the only thing really, other than the little round ball that survived the obliteration of the Razor Crest. Can we stop here real quick? What did you guys think when that happened? It was just.
I wasn't too bummed out. It's just a ship. He needed a new one anyways because
that one had been through heck and back.
Especially in this season. Okay. I mean, 3 times it was repaired.
My first thought, honestly, was like, "Oh, cool, we get to see more of the Slave One."
Okay, cool. Well, the only thing that really survived it was the Beskar staff that was given to Mando by Ahsoka in the previous chapter. It's almost inevitable that we're going to see this come into use by Mando in a battle against Moff Gideon and his Darksaber. I think who was it? One of the voice messages last week even alluded to that. My question is, do you think that Mando will be able to hold his own against Gideon, or is this leading to a very dark conclusion to season 2?
I don't know. We haven't seen Mando really use anything like the staff, so we don't know if he's been trained with it at all. And we know he'd been trained with a jetpack at one point, and he picked that up pretty quick. But we don't know if he's ever had any sort of formal martial training with a staff. So it could go really, like, he could just like get upset and in a moment of rage just start fighting Gideon, and it just blow up in his face. But I'm hoping we get a pretty cool duel.
Okay, so I think we will get a really awesome duel, but just a crazy, wild question. So Moff Gideon has the only known Mandalorian forged lightsaber, right?
The darksaber, correct?
The darksaber. Mandalorians use Beskar, and it's completely different from any other lightsaber we've seen. Could it, in theory, could he have made it to be able to cut through Beskar because that's the only thing that could stop it?
It's definitely on a different frequency when you see it flickering and all that kind of stuff.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
He used it to defend against the Jedi, the original Mandalore. But that's a really... Here we go. There it goes. There's one of Nathan's things.
Right.
He throws it out.
I'd love to see a scene where he has the staff.
I
and
think
is ready
we
to
see
get
a
it
dark.
and just
I think we
cuts
see a
through
dark
it.
ending. It's
No,
it's
no, we will not.
Not that Mando's going to die or anything.
No,
but,
no, not even Baby Yoda going to the dark side.
No,
I'm
I
not saying
don't
that.
think
Stop.
it's going to
let me
wrap
explain.
up.
It's not going to wrap up. It's the end of Empire Strikes Back, the second chapter.
Exactly.
The second of the original trilogy. It's Attack
This
of the
is gonna be a
Clones.
4-season
It's Attack of the Clones. It's The Last Jedi. It's even Rebels season 2 ended dark.
Yeah, that was after
With Ahsoka
Kanan
that was Ahsoka. Yeah, Ahsoka's battling Vader and she's defeated. Kanan is blinded. With this, our heroes are
still
left
out there.
in the end of the second chapter of these stories. The second segment of these stories, we see something very negative and dark happen to our heroes. I could see that happening.
But I mean, this is a 4-season show. We know at least.
Yeah, and so was Rebels.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
I don't.
We'll
I
have
don't
to
know.
see. This episode ends with Mara
asking.
Sorry, I got
Mando
Mara
dude.
Jade on the brain all of a sudden. I've been listening too much of Chris Sequel on Star Wars Underground made this long, like 20-minute argument for why he wants Mara Jade in the Mandalorian or in the future. And so I saw this, and for some reason, just my head went to Mara because I was thinking of Cara Dune.
Mara Dune.
Mara with Cara. The episode ends with Mando asking Cara Dune, now a marshal of the New Republic,
freaking sheriff over here,
if she could help him bust Mayfield out of a New Republic prison so Mando can get to Grogu on Gideon's destroyer. Is that the trajectory of the next 2 episodes? Or are we in for some more surprises, Nathan?
I think next episode they break out Mayfield, and then there's another reveal because it's the final episodes. You have to have one. That's just kind of how the first season went, and so I think we have something next week, and then of course the final episode will be Gideon versus Mando.
the whole breakout of Baby Yoda. I agree. I think this next episode is going to be fairly filler. I do think something will happen in the end, or it's going to pick up. It's got to set up something pretty big for the final episode. So.
I mean, I was talking to Dad before the last episode, and I'm like, this one has to be a filler. We don't know anything about it.
This was not a filler.
It was not a filler.
So I think that's what it's going to be. But as to exactly what's going to happen in there, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This way.
Are you brainless? I never asked that question until after I've done it. What?
Yeah, so we've got some podcast poll results from last week's poll. It was real simple. I give finish this statement, or just answer this question, whatever it is. I give chapter 13 of The Mandalorian on a scale of 1 to 10 Grogus. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, or 10. We were going to all give this a very high.
I said 10.
You said 10.
I said
now.
No, wait.
Now, you left it at a 9 because you wanted to leave it open for the future, right?
I left it at an 8.
An 8 because you wanted to leave it open for the future. Did this one supersede even the Ahsoka episode?
No.
Okay.
I'm keeping it at an 8.
Sam, this one better than the Ahsoka episode?
It had Boba Fett. I mean, you can't ask a question like that.
All right, let him answer.
While I absolutely loved this episode, I think overall, story-wise and what ended up happening in it, I still feel like the Ahsoka one's better.
How do you say that? Because this is the catalyst for the rest of the season.
I know.
This episode.
But I still stand by
He's
what I
not
said.
well, you guys had some interesting thoughts on it. We had a tie for last place. 1 to 3 and 4 to 6 each got 1.7%.
That's
so
like
probably like 2
nothing.
people voted on
No,
each.
it's a small amount. So 7 to 9 got 44.1% and 10% and 52.5%.
So pretty
gave
tight.
it a 10. Very positive
Very.
response to that episode. We wanted you guys to give us your thoughts, and so we put out our voicemail number out on Twitter, and you guys once again came through. This one's first is from our buddy Jeff.
Hey, David, Nate, and Sam, how y'all doing? This is your longtime listener and supporter, Jeff, from the Blue Milk Cafe podcast, as well as the Canto Cast, calling in to give you my thoughts about Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian. This has to be up there with my favorite episode of the season so far. I really did enjoy the Jedi when we finally saw Ahsoka, but seeing a Boba Fett that I've been waiting 25 years to see was amazing. That is the Boba Fett we've all wanted. That is the Boba Fett we've been waiting for, and we finally got him. And I cannot wait to see more of him. This episode was just so amazing, and just can't wait to see more of him. I'm at a loss for words. But Samuel, just to let you know, Boba Fett is back in my top favorite characters because of this episode. I really liked him, like I said, when I was a kid. Yes, he had cool armor, but as I got older rewatching the original trilogy, he really didn't do anything, and I think they underutilized him, and wow, no longer. Boba Fett is a bad A, and I can't wait to see him kick more Imperial butt. So those were my thoughts of my rambling thoughts about this past weekend's Mandalorian episode. And if you'll excuse me, I think I am going to go watch that episode for a fifth time.
Wow.
May the Force be with you, and this is the way.
This is the way. Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the light side. I'm glad you
I'm
finally
on the dark side?
yes. You finally have re-embraced Boba Fett for everything he is. No, but yeah, it was a really, really cool episode, especially for Boba Fett fans.
Yeah.
5 times. Wow.
Yeah,
We haven't even watched it a second.
Well, Sam has. He watched it with the girl. Yeah, he did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
yes,
he did.
I
Well,
did.
because we weren't there.
I was
So
stuck at home
that was cool.
cleaning.
You know,
Thank you very much.
I gotta kind of agree with the way that Jeff thought about Boba Fett. When I was really little, a little kid, he was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. With it, I was joking with with Sam and Nate last night as we were driving back from Alabama that I was 6 years old. It was my 6th birthday. And the pastor of the church that we went to was like a grandfather to me. And he took me to Kmart and he went for my birthday and said, you can get any toy or anything that you want. And I went straight for the Underoos section and I got Boba Fett Underoos. And that's how much I loved him. But over years, it was kind of like, yeah, I could see why people wonder what the big deal is with him. Yeah, Boba Fett's back.
Is he back in your top 3?
I don't know about that, but he's back.
Yeah.
I know Han's your boy.
Yeah. All right. Now we got Andy from Holocron Chronicles. This one's going to be good. He's a little annoyed. You're going to notice a pattern in his little message here.
Hey, boys. Andy from the Holochronicles podcast here. Long time, first time. Anyway, I was annoyed with this episode. And let me tell you why. I was annoyed that one Mandalorian seemed to make all the right moves and decisions, and another Mandalorian kept making all the wrong decisions. I was annoyed that Din didn't put his backpack back on when he went to go try and save Grogu. I was annoyed that Moff Gideon blasted one ship that was parked down on the planet to smithereens, which, that kind of got me too, man. But left the other ship just fine. And I was annoyed that the previously on the Mandalorian set up and spoiled what was going to be an otherwise nice surprise in the episode. So, I mean, other than that, I loved it. But yeah, I was kind of annoyed with a few things in there. That said, Boba Fett's great, and it was finally nice to see him get his, Vader and Rogue One moment where we finally get to see just how awesomely bad Boba Fett could be as a bounty hunter. So anyway, love that part of it. Keep doing what you guys are doing. I love it. And thanks for being a positive light in the Star Wars fan universe.
Yeah, Andy makes some points. On this. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about the Razor Crest getting blown up in Slave One. Sam has some thoughts on that.
The jetpack was.
We'll talk about that. So
I think it's just strictly he had a tracker on the Razor Crest. We knew that from, I think it was chapter 13,
chapter 12.
Right? 12. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why he blew up the Razor Crest, because he knew where it was. I don't think he was.
He probably doesn't even know Slave One is there. He's not looking for Slave One. He's not.
And I mean, it kind of blends in pretty well.
I think that our friend Brad on Twitter, Scuttlebutt podcast and some other stuff. He makes a really good point because he's military, right?
Okay,
and he's like, the fog of war is the reason behind that jetpack not being brought up. And I responded to it. I'm like, I agree. It's at that moment.
You got to help me out.
The fog of war is this idea of when you're in the battle, things get confusing and things get messy. You're not always thinking clearly.
It's like adrenaline rush.
Yeah, adrenaline rush. Everything is blowing up around you. You're getting shot at. You don't have a chance to think about, well, you know what? There's a jetpack sitting right there. I'm going to go grab that really quick and throw it on. That's not what Mando was thinking about.
Mando was thinking, Grogu.
Get to Grogu. Yeah. Grogu's in danger, and that's all he thought about. That actually makes this character better for me. It makes Mando better that he made a mistake.
He made a mistake, and the thing that matters to him most
was Grogu. With that, but let's just agree with him on the recap that happened before. So Sam was getting dressed. We were in a hurry because we had to watch it real quick before we left to go do some stuff. BB Nate and I were getting it ready, and I could see as soon as the recap started that we needed to skip past this thing because, for one, we didn't have time. Two, I could tell they were already going down a path. They showed things early on that we didn't want to see on that. So we got to see it without the recap. And then you watched it with Savannah later with the recap. What was the experience like? It feels like it spoiled the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it really impacted her very much, but I was watching it, and as soon as I was watching the recap, I was like, wow, they really just revealed like a lot of like the big things, like Boba Fett and Fennec Shand coming back. Like that was the real big reveal. So that was kind of not a great choice, in my opinion.
I mean, bad choice, but I think that they knew most people were thinking that Boba Fett's going to come back in this season.
Yeah, but we didn't have any clue that they were coming back in this episode. I think that was a mistake.
Do we think, okay, this just came to mind. Do we think we see the next episode, Mandalorian breaks out, what is
Mayfield?
Mayfield.
Yeah, he's going to break out Mayfield.
And then goes try to help find Bo-Katan to try to get.
I don't know. We'll need to talk about that in a second. All right. Last one's from our buddy Jordan Bean. Jordan's our good friend in California, and he has some thoughts.
Hey, David, Sam, Nate, Christy. It's Jordan Bean. Make this take 2. Well, actually take 3 because I'm starting over because I was going on too.
He recorded multiple
Chapter
messages.
14. You blew me away. Great storytelling. Some of it I think was a little obvious. Grogu being abducted. Yeah, Moff Gideon now has him. As I said before, you can't play basketball without the ball changing hands. So we'll see how this game plays out. That Force event was pretty cool with the meditation and all that. Just leave that a mystery. We don't need to cover Force stuff. It is what it is. I really thought it was really cool when Slave One circled in and Boba came out dressed as a Tusken. He's been living in the Tatooine desert, so of course he's going to have a Gatorfy stick and a rifle, and he's just real cool. He's cracking skulls with that thing. It's very impressive. You actually got to see some skills from this guy, and he gets his armor back, which seemed obvious to me because I don't know. Yeah, I figured he'd be getting it back. He'd want it back. But I think what was really cool was Boba's character as a Mandalorian coming out more so than being a bounty hunter. So now, Din Djarin and Boba, now we see they have so much in common. And that hologram that he presented as evidence that the armor belongs to him, I understand that that's been decoded. I'll leave that for you to figure out later, but it's actually really cool. I'm going to have to go back to some old lore and see if that's actually canon, because I don't know. But the biggest shock of this episode, what are you doing to the man's ride? Why destroy the Razor Crest? Gosh, it's reminiscent of Serenity, the Firefly. They kind of look similar in shape and all that. And Razor Crest, I hold it close to my heart because of that. And now it's gone. You're breaking my heart, guys. But anyway, I'll let you go.
Well, yeah, Jordan, it's not our fault. All right, Dave didn't call us, and Jon Favreau didn't call us and say, "Should we blow up the Razor?"
People are reacting. If they did, we would take full credit.
We would take credit for it if he called us.
People are taking like the loss of the crest almost like the Falcon at this point.
Yeah, it's like we've had it for a year and a month,
and people are like,
I mean,
the crest.
That was like just a breeze. I'm like,
I kind of freaked out a little bit.
I was like, oh no.
What'd you think
I
about,
was just excited for Slave
So what'd
One.
you think about? He talks about the Force stuff that Grogu does.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, I'm not sure I like the visual style, and like they're like, I don't think it looks like the Force or like what I'd expected. They say it looks almost more Harry Potter or something. I'm like, if y'all watch Rebels, you'd see this is completely
kind of
within the realm of
Rebels,
possibility.
Yeah.
And I mean,
is this a world between worlds type portal? Is this
It kind of looks like when
might be
when Ezra is talking to the main Loth Wolf or whatever that calls himself, Dune. It kind of looks a lot like that. So,
I mean, I don't think that it looked weird. I think it worked very well. It's pretty reminiscent with the first High Republic content we got this year from Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. There's a lot of weird Force stuff.
Don't spoil it.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of weird Force stuff that has visuals to go with it. So I think that it worked really well and it fit. So,
well, you guys brought up something earlier, just a couple of minutes ago, as we were listening to these messages. Is there someone going to come? BB, I think you're going to ask, like, does he go get Mayfield and then go get Bo-Katan or something like that? Well, that's our poll for this week. I want you to finish or fill in the blank on this. I've had a Force vision, and fill in the blank will be in Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian. Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, or other, comment below.
Most likely Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. I think that they go get both. I think this is just a recruit episode.
I'm gonna go Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. I don't think Ahsoka comes back to the series.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think that Ahsoka's she's done. She's got her own series with the Thrawn stuff.
I think we see more.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think we see more.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. On our first anniversary 2 years ago, we were honored to have the great, accomplished Stephen Stanton as our special guest, and we were especially excited to have him because of his portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Twin Sons episode of Star Wars Rebels. But did you know that Stephen would never have landed that role without his amazing voicing of AP5, who he patterned after Alan Rickman of Die Hard fame? And that's just one more reason to love this arrogant, overconfident protocol droid.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Yeah, so Sam's trying to figure out who Alan Rickman is, but we'll have to go to that later. All right, let's talk a little bit about AP5.
Yeah.
Go for it, BB Nate.
That's his introduction. One of actually my favorite episodes from Rebels. I loved this episode because it focused more on the droids. We had Chopper hiding on an Imperial transport cargo ship, and in the cargo and sneaking around stormtroopers and everything. This didn't really have anything to do with the other rebels except for Chopper. So he goes and he meets AP5, who is almost about to report him, and then Chopper is trying to reason with him, and he finds out, I don't want to be a servant of these people anymore. He's like, I want to be free. I want to do my own thing. I want to be with you guys fighting these.
Yeah, and I think that comes from the reality of when during the Clone Wars he had a position of importance, and he's been relegated by the Empire to this position of servitude and like treated like garbage. And he's like, I could go back to being something important again.
Yeah, and that's probably what L3 is fighting for droid rights for, because all these droids were pristine, regarded
individuals.
Robots,
a lot of them were,
and now they're just servants of the Empire mainly, and so. And then if it wasn't for AP5, the Rebels would have never been able to find their next base, Atelon.
Yeah, that was
they would have
huge plot.
They would
point
have
in
jumped
Rebels.
to a system where the Empire would be waiting for him, and it would have been a disaster.
Yeah, so he is all in like the 4 episodes he's in that he's a main character in. They're all very important, and he does very important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
I mean,
stuff.
one episode, another episode is him and Chopper and Wedge are
Wedge
tasked
Antilles, yeah,
with going to. I don't remember specifically their mission. They were going to help these recruits, right? In like these defectors, and eventually Chopper he like plugs into this port or whatever, and he gets taken over by these. He's
hacked or whatever.
Yeah,
it was Josh Gad that played the hacker on that.
Exactly.
He looked like Lobot with glasses and a beard.
It was kind of cool. I think that's actually technically the first character in Star Wars with glasses.
It was
before Pershing.
Before Pershing, you're correct. Yeah.
So anyway, so everybody they get back to the transport and Chopper's acting all weird, like he's being all polite and really respectful and quiet, and AP5's like, this isn't right, something's not right, and he's trying to let Wedge know, and Wedge is like, oh no, it's fine, I'm glad he's being respectful now, and he keeps trying to warn the Ghost crew and something, and nobody's listening to him because they just think he's some old guy who doesn't know what he's talking about. And, they know Chopper he's just being nice for once, so nobody would listen to AP5, but eventually like it comes around that something's wrong.
Yeah,
and
I think Hera starts to figure it out. Yeah,
and then eventually they listen to him and they apologize. But that's like one of the best episodes ever because we got to see AP5 floating out in space. Right, he gets knocked off the Ghost by Chopper while he's still under the control or whatever, and he's floating off in space and he's like all in like solitude and he's like, oh, this is so peaceful and nice. And then those weird, I don't remember what they were called.
Like weird bird things.
Yeah, the weird space birds come and he's like starts singing and like
it was awesome.
And then they come back, he's like, no, leave me alone. But I don't know, it's like one of the best moments in all of Rebels, I think. A lot of people hated it.
It was so unexpected.
It was the episode before Twin Sons. Now here's the rest of the story. I was joking about this and saying if he didn't play AP5, he would have never played Obi-Wan in Twin Sons. The reality is, if I remember the story correctly, Steven was in the sound booth recording AP5 stuff for this episode.
Okay.
And somehow in the conversation with Dave, because Dave's there for all the recordings, it got brought up that he had voiced Tatooine, period, Obi-Wan in some video games before. And he was trying, and Dave's like, oh yeah, I remember that, that you did that. I had forgotten that you had done that. And he basically took him in, can you just like read some of this as Obi-Wan and just let me know what you think? And that's how he landed the job for Twin Sons, which was really controversial at the time because so many Star Wars animation fans wanted James Arnold Taylor to be playing that. But that's not the character that James Arnold Taylor plays. He does the Ewan McGregor version. Steven did a fantastic job in Twin Sons, and that's nothing against James Arnold Taylor. We love him, and we'd love someday for James to be a guest on the show. But the reality is that's kind of the way that story. Here's the fun thing about this for me. When I see AP5, I'm looking at the whole, the totality of his story, and we see this droid that had importance and purpose in the Clone Wars and claims to have been the finest, the greatest navigator of his, whatever his
of that time,
his droid class.
He's like top of his class.
Yeah, top of his class, right? And then he's relegated to nothingness within the Empire because they don't believe in him. And this moment comes with the Rebels where he gets to choose. We talked about it earlier. He gets to choose: do I stay with this Empire and surrender to this purposeless existence, or do I take this risk and go back to being what I was expected to be? And I absolutely just love that about AP5. And he's criticized, and people don't like that episode with him singing, and they complain about it. He's a fantastic character, and we absolutely love
Star
him.
Wars fans complain about everything.
Well, they can even complain about the last episode of The Mandalorian, if you can believe that. So, but for this week's dad moment,
I am your father.
It goes back to, it's sad that in many cases our society wants to diminish the importance of people as they age. The younger generations look at the older as irrelevant and so set in their ways that they have little to no value. But this is the way of the dark side, the Empire. AP5 was brushed aside as unimportant and relegated to menial tasks that he wasn't designed for. But Phoenix Squadron saw AP5's value and honored his experience that went back all the way to the Clone Wars. That honor proved to be rewarded as AP5's contribution to the formation of the Rebel Alliance and its victory in the Galactic Civil War cannot be understated. And if you haven't watched Rebels, go back and watch it. Experience isn't the greatest teacher. Someone else's experience is. And AP5's experience saved the galaxy. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
So, Diego Luna, that guy, he kind of played Cassian or whatever. He reveals that he and some friends are shooting Star Wars right now.
It looks like the Cassian Andor series is being recorded. And then, continue with that idea. If you happen to be in England in January, be prepared to say, hold on, I got it right here. Be prepared to say
hello there
to Ewan McGregor, because that's when they are beginning to shoot the Kenobi series. Now, here's the thing. Both of those seem to have been accelerated in production, moved up in production. We talked a little bit about in this card. Do you think it has to do with they're bringing out more series, that the future of Star Wars is Disney Plus, and they are trying to get things ramped up for it?
We're going to definitely see that in the whole investors 4-hour-long panel that they're doing, the future of Disney Plus. We'll see what they're doing.
When is that? Is that in the next few weeks?
December 15th.
Nice. All
like
right.
that. And Kevin Scott, nice guy, is writing
we interviewed that guy
High
about
Republic
Dooku Jenny
novel.
Lost. Yeah, he's awesome.
The Rising Storm.
It's a follow-up to Light of the Jedi. It's like the next in that series of stories. So it's going to be pretty awesome. So.
All right. So we've got some really, really cool new shirts and merchandise available on our TeePublic store, including some amazing new Boba Fett designs.
Yeah,
which
you should get some for Christmas.
I should. There's a lot of cool shirts on the website.
I'll have to.
So if you'll just go to
cut.ly/TS merch.
Yes,
I'll just link
and
it in the
we'll
show
link
notes.
it. I'm sure. You can check it out. Everything is 30% off through December 12th. So if you want to get a little Christmas shopping done early, now's the time to do it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
So yeah.
All right, before we do our final, like what we normally do, I just want to make sure, if you don't know this, that the voicing of "May the Force be with you always" that you hear at the end of every show is actually by Steven Stanton. That's how he signed off of our interview.
Yeah,
we didn't even have to ask.
He did it all on his own. We were totally wanting to do something like that, and he did it. So
we totally cut that. And we're like, we're saving
that has been on the show ever since. So anything else you guys want to say?
I just want to say thank you to all the listeners that have been here for so long. And probably for people that did listen to that Steven Stanton interview and the craziness of being in a tiny bedroom on TV trays. That was the strangest setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for just listening to this and getting all the way to the end.
Yeah, thanks for continuing to support us and our craziness, even though it's been a wild 3 years so far, and we hope it goes on for a while, for a while longer. But thank you all for sticking with us this whole time.
Yeah, I think the best is yet to come. I'm excited about the future. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sticking through all the way to the end of this episode, as you guys do. For your voice messages, you're always welcome to call in and give us thoughts on anything about the show. You can call. Well, I lost the number. It's 321-262-0892. Let me give that to you one more time. 321-262-0892. 0892. Leave us a voice message if it's clean and positive, then it'll probably end up on the show at some point. But anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.